Welcome to the Heaven's Edge podcast, where we cover everything from the Christian life to entertainment, sports, and current events. Although we're heaven-bound, we'll be sure not to shy away from the edge, engaging in challenging topics. As ministry students living within the current culture, we aim to offer a unique perspective on the world, viewing it with a gospel vision. Now, introducing your hosts, Gavin Eberlin and Josh Gornicz.
It's our pleasure to welcome you to another episode of the Heaven's Edge podcast. You're joined by your hosts, Josh Gornicz, as well as myself, Gavin Eberlin, as we dive into a deepened conversation about relationships. That when we look for someone, we ought to look for character and chemistry before characteristics. We hope you stick around and enjoy.
Good morning, Gavin.
Good morning, man. What's going on, bro?
Not much. Just, we got a week of classes. This is our last Friday with classes.
Yep.
It's crazy. Today, for those listening, is April 30th, and we have a class until Wednesday, and then we have finals week until the following Tuesday. But right now, for me, actually, I don't know about you, Gavin, but I am busier right now, and I have been the last few days than I will be during finals week, just because it's the week, it's the time when all the professors give their last paper project exam before we get to finals, and it's just annoying because every single class does it at the same time.
See, now when you're listening, we'll probably be completely done, and heck, even if you're a student, you're probably completely done at this point. Yeah, but I'm one of the lucky goose eggs that this whole week I've done absolutely not a singular thing in regards to school. Let's say Tuesday was 80 degrees. I hammocked. I played football. I then hammocked again after dinner. Wednesday, I sat outside and enjoyed the nice weather. I hung out a lot that day. Didn't do too much. Let's go. Yesterday was a rainy day. I went to collage. I worked on this podcast. I went to an RA banquet, watched the NFL draft, and now I'm here Friday. And I've still done absolutely not a thing this whole week. And I won't until finals. I'm not doing jack.
Dude, I relaxed yesterday for a couple hours, but before that, I didn't relax since the week before. I had 14-page papers. I had journals, entries I had to do. I had exams. Today, I take my third exam of the week. I had a project I had to do on Wednesday. It's been a lot for me. I'm pretty tired. But
so I'm just hanging out.
Yeah. So Gavin, would you consider Grove City College to be a bridal college?
That's funny. If you're talking about Ring by Spring, if you guys know that culture, then I do think that is something that is cultivated here, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah, I think so. The joke is Bible colleges should just be called bridal colleges because people just go there to get married. And actually, I got a funny story. So the worship leader at my church here in Grove City, her and her husband went to Valley Forge University, which is like the stereotypical Assemblies of God college if you want to be a pastor. I refuse to go there. Everyone goes there. It's insane. I think probably every single one of my youth pastors went to that college. But she literally went for a semester, met a senior, dropped out, married him. And I know them both. They're awesome people. But that is the definition of a Bible college being a bridal college.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't know. Can you give a good definition of the culture of Ring by Spring?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a good little overlook of, because I think, there's a healthy aspect of getting married in college, but I think there's also the Ring by Spring pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so I think we'll just go out and say this. The reason it happens is because Christians can't have sex till they're married. Would you say that's fair?
No.
No.
I don't think that's the only reason people will get married, but I think there's a pressure in the Christian circles that are put on people that get married because everyone gets married. Like we talked about last week. I remember one of the things you said, is that everyone gets married, right? And then people who are single feel this pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We don't celebrate single people. That's what you mentioned. Marriage is a great thing, but sometimes we just let's celebrate the people who are single, right? So we threw that
Yeah.
out there. And so I think people who are single can feel this very overwhelming pressure to be in relationship. And then when everyone's in relationship on the campus, the people who aren't married get pressured to be married.
Yes.
And so by the end of your senior year, spring of your senior year, you're supposed to get propose, or then get married. So that's kind of like that's the culture, but it's not like the healthy. If we're a good fit and we really see that, okay, then that's amazing. I mean, but like the unhealthy, you got to do it just to do it, because I think a lot of pressure can be put on people in that, and they'll just go for it.
Yeah.
Just to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's probably good and bad depending on the people and depending on the circumstance. Because if you're with someone and you're dating someone and you feel that this is someone who you want to marry and who God is calling you to marry, then go for it.
Right.
Why wait? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it kind of can chop away. Like if you see other people doing that, it can chop away like maybe your insecurities of commitment problems or something like that, where it can be a good thing to be like, man, all right, this is something that I can do and can be good. But then on the flip side, there's the pressure of, I've been dating this person for 3 months and people are like, when are you going to get married? And some of it is joking, which, whatever, that's fine. But there actually, I think when it does happen so often, there is a pressure to be like, either I got to marry this person or I got to get out of this relationship. And so I think that that's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. And I think all of it comes down, I think, to the heart and the motivation of the whole situation, but really the who. Really, I mean, when you get down to it, because if you got, if you're with the person that you want to be with, that you feel God has placed you with, and you're at that place, go for it. But like if you, in the beginning of this whole process, felt that pressure to go and date, so you just went and you dated and you didn't really think about who you were dating, but you went for it. Now you're like, oh, we've been dating, but do we get married? Well, everyone else is, and I will too. I mean, maybe. I guess depending on your situation, but that could be a not so great thing if you're just, you're feeling that pressure. It all comes down to that who.
Yeah. Yeah. And then some people are just not ready to get married, and that's fine. Like I know people that are going to get married like probably months after they graduate. And I know people who are like, I can't do that. Even though they might be with someone, dating someone, they're like, I'm not ready for that. And so there's just pressure, and it's unfortunate because then they have to feel that. But Gavin, I got a quick challenge for you to start off today. I want you to close your eyes.
Oh, geez,
I'm watching you.
Go. Oh, goodness.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Live by faith, not by sight. And I want you to quote Proverbs 4:23. Do you know it yet?
Close your eyes. Oh, geez. Stop. I feel uncomfortable.
We do this every week. This is the verse of the series.
Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Is that right?
Come on. That's pretty much right.
Dang it. Guard your heart above all else. Is that twice in there? Hey, I'm vibing.
Actually, I might have that written wrong. You might have had it closer than it's actually written down on my page.
I'm rocking with it. I'm here.
You got the gist of it.
Dude, I thought you were going to ask me to clear my mind. I was about to just fall over. All right.
Just start levitating.
That's right. Come on. I'm going to do backflips in this chair. Spirit's flowing.
Backflips in the spirit. Let's go.
That's right. Yes, this will be our second part of our relationship goals set of podcast conversations. Last week we talked about singleness and plugging into the source. So we began by talking about dating. What is dating? Because I think that the whole structure and the idea, the thought process of dating is so construed by the culture today. But biblically, it's about evaluating a person for marriage. Dating is a process of evaluation. It's about how and who. And I think that is so often skipped over. Like we miss that first block. So we start this whole process off wrong. And you got to plug into the source of life, the Lord, so that you can be a source of life to other people. And once you have, and you got to realize if you're single, it's a gift. And it's a gift to be able to live in completely undistracted, devoted life to God in every singular aspect of your life. And if you just build those rhythms and those patterns, if you're to walk and begin walking with another, then you already have this devotion that is unshakable.
Mm-hmm.
And now this week, we want to transition into who to date. Like if you feel that you are devoted to the Lord, you're undistracted, your full commitment toward him, you're running at a pace, and you feel, okay, hey, I feel that the Lord is allowing me, opening a door for me to be able to look over and see if there's anyone running with me.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel you are there, I think we have a couple of good things to talk about today.
Yeah.
Do you have any opening thoughts, Josh?
Yeah. I think it's important to remember, and this helps with considering dating as an evaluation process, like you were talking about, Gavin, that we are brothers and sisters in Christ, or we're married in Christ. And there's no in-between stage. Dating is not a weird in-between stage when you get some of the benefits of marriage, but not others, and some of the stuff that we've made it out to be. And if we treat it like that, then dating truly becomes an evaluation process. And it's not like it's hard to say evaluation process because that sounds cold. Like you're measuring this person based on how they impress you or something. But as we go through this, I think you'll hopefully see how it's a very healthy thing and how it leads to freedom in dating. And it doesn't necessarily lead to pressure. It actually leads to the opposite of pressure.
So we want to talk a little bit more from Ben Stewart's Single, Dating, Engaged, Married series. And he has a quote from that. And when he talks about this topic of who to date, he says, the problem with our world today is that we've taken a consumer mentality and put it into our relationships with human beings. And we treat human beings like commodities. That's the thing. Like, I think today we so often look at the characteristics alone without looking at the character. And you get so caught up in the trap, like, oh, okay. And so it's all about characteristics. And characteristics can change. They can fade, but character is the thing, that drives a person to act and to be who they are. And yet we so often say, yeah. And it's, I think it could be scary because, people's hearts, guarding your heart, that has a lot to do with the people that you surround yourself with, the circles that you're in.
Here's a quick question that may convict you. Do you search for a partner in the same way that you would shop for a car? Now think this through with me, Gavin, real quick.
Oh boy. Run me down your ideal car if that's what you're going to do here.
Well, all right. So when a male looks for a car, right? And I'll speak from the male perspective because that's what I understand better.
That's good.
Oftentimes we will look for a car that looks amazing, makes us look amazing, right? It drives well. It does what we want it to do well. And it has nice curves, right? Good mileage, right?
That's what I need. I need the hidden stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I need the butt warmers. Continue. I'm sorry.
That analogy gets weird there. But like, are we searching? Are we looking for? Okay, I need a second. I honestly think that we will look for, and women as well, probably in a different way, but like, do we have this list? Do we have the list of specs? Okay, it's got 4-wheel drive. Right. Okay, it's or okay, he's this tall and he has this job and he's making this much money and he's this handsome and all this stuff. And it's like, is this actually how we need to be looking for a partner? Right. And I would say that it's objectifying, even if you may not see it as objectifying. Even if you're saying, oh, I'm looking for someone with a great personality, so I'm not objectifying them. That's part of a checklist of objectification still. And so we have to make sure that we are filtering everything through this kind of stuff.
Right. And I think half the time, when you're seeking characteristics and you're seeking that list of specs, I think, it's a good thing to have an idea of a person you'd like to be with. But we'd like to propose a new way to look at that momentarily. But in the meantime, I think on just the normal, natural level of whatever specs you might come up with or whatever idea of the ideal person you might come up with, oftentimes it can be fueled out of a place of listing characteristics so that your heart can be filled in the areas that you feel like you're inadequate and you don't have an identity.
Whoa.
So then you say, well, I need this because I don't have this. So I'm going to go look for a person who does so that I can suck the life out of them because I can't do it because I don't know where to look to get filled anyway. Oh, did I just offend someone?
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And,
Bend the glory.
And it's like, it's dangerous because I think that is the reality that oftentimes we look for people because we want to literally, like we see them thriving and living life in an area and we're like, oh, we're not. So let me just take that from you. Thank you very much. Instead of finding the identity that you need to find in the Lord, who is the source of life, who will give you life in those areas so that you can enjoy them together. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Hey, if you're offended, you're probably part of the problem.
Yikes.
We're
Wow.
kidding. That's a quote that Gavin said in chapel when he preached. So I thought that's just a great quote.
Wow.
But if you're offended, it's actually not really that much of a problem because I'm sure a lot of people deal with some of this stuff. It's hard for all of us. It really is.
I've been there. I
don't think anyone has ever done this perfectly. Seriously.
No,
I don't think anyone has ever done this perfectly. So we're hoping to hopefully bring some of this stuff to light and allow God to work in our lives to change us.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I've been there, right? But now, once the identity is rooted and grounded in the Lord, you have the opportunity to seek a relationship, as Josh would hate to say, but to do life with somebody, to get to know them over time. And instead of the taking mentality, I need this is, let me have the giving mentality. Let me have let's share in this together, and if today, if you feel like, you can't do it, let me give, right? Let's meet each other in the middle, wherever it's at. Let's meet each other. Let's provide. I think it's a different mentality than the world would like to presume would be the best one. But I think a sacrificial kind of care is what's really needed.
Mm-hmm.
It is different, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So who we date basically can break it down into character, into chemistry, right? It breaks down into those two things. And really, they're both so deeply needed. The character, who they are in and of themselves. Chemistry, how you guys relate to one another and interact with one another in life. We have 7 important things to determine who to date when thinking of entering this part of life. And when talking to people, just getting to know them, we have 7 checks. 3 are totally non-negotiable. And the other 4, well, there's some room for personal preference. All right, Josh, so you want to kick us off with the first check, the first thing that you should look for?
It's the perfect Sunday school answer.
Yay.
Jesus.
Good. It's good, Josh. We're proud of you.
Are they a believer of Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Like, there's more. But,
that's it.
This is like, if you can't get past this, you're not getting anywhere.
Thank you for joining this episode of the Heaven's Edge podcast. We'll see you next. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, really, this will determine everything. It'll determine the whole outcome and the course of your relationship. And of course, and that's not us saying that the Lord doesn't do amazing, remarkable, redemptive things in relationship, because we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it, right?
Flirt to convert.
But we don't suggest that.
My roommate, man, he did flirt to convert and turn or burn, and it worked. But just don't attempt that. There was a lot of pain involved in the midst of it. But
yeah, it worked. I'll tell you that. Right, but this is probably the number one thing. Not probably. I was going to say probably the number one thing to ask, within one of the first couple conversations that you meet this person. Because it is important.
Not.
Or you could just watch the way they live.
Or not. Like, if this doesn't come up, I don't know if it's even worth asking.
That's also a fair point. If it doesn't pop up, then maybe, that's tough, man. That'll get you every time.
Whew. Can you go through a bunch of dates without them mentioning Jesus?
But, technically, wouldn't that mean you don't mention him either?
Well, See, you're outsmarting me, Gavin.
I'm just thinking here. I mean, unless this is an interview.
Dude, I haven't had to date someone, like date a new person in like almost 4 years. So I'm rusty.
Hey, you're good. You're good. You're doing great, Josh. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Lauren, again, I'm going to shout you out again. You're a trooper. I'm going to tell you. Yeah. But obviously, this is the foundational level. So if you're even thinking about pursuing a relationship, I really do want to personally challenge you to just ask, hey, do you, like, you could ask a bunch of different questions. Do you have a relationship with God? Or what does it look like? Do you go to church? What is that like for you? Or, any of those introductory questions, even ask them like, what does it look like in your family? Like, how were you raised? And kind of then lead into that topic, because it can be sensitive for some. It can be the heartbeat of others. So I think just really trying to listen to the other people where they are in this category, it'll make everything else a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
You agree on the foundation and the bedrock of life. I think you're starting in a good place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This isn't the end all be all. Like, there's more questions after it. But if this isn't a yes, then there's no more questions after it. You don't move on from here.
Mm. So the second check is saying, all right, who am I going to date? This one's still a non-negotiable. Number 2, are they an active pursuer of Christ? So this gets a little deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, are they a believer? But now are they actively pursuing Christ in their life? Or is this just a title of, yeah, I'm a Christian, and that's it?
Yeah. This is hard.
Yeah.
This is a hard one because I think a lot of times this is what gets, I've seen this in my youth group and in different people, where it's like someone who is on fire for Jesus goes and dates someone who goes to the same church, but just isn't. And it doesn't turn out well, because they are, it's no doubt in my mind that both of them are saved. Both of them are heaven bound. Both of them have a relationship with Jesus Christ. But one is actively pursuing God and one is not. And it's a hard thing to see and it's a hard thing to say, but I think this is almost a trap. Like, as far as Christians go, number 1 is kind of a given for most Christians. They understand this. But then number 2 is harder, because they don't necessarily look for that as much.
Exactly. And I think it's so easy to be like, oh, well, no. Right. So like we said last week, your significant other will either double or halve your ministry. So if you come in on fire and they just don't give a rep, then it's really going to be difficult for the person who is on fire, because they're going to have to work double time to be where they were. So it's something to keep in mind when you're thinking of who to date. Are they pursuing God actively? So the third point, Josh, hit us with that. What is it?
I love this one. I never heard this until
favorite.
Gavin started talking to me about this one. This is awesome.
My favorite.
Look for someone who can keep the same pace as you.
Come on.
Run with someone who makes you play your best game. So I think this is addressing the Christian maturity level. So like, if you have someone who's maybe been a Christian their entire lives and then dates someone who's been a Christian for maybe a year or two, right? They might be, they're both believers, and they might be both pursuing God. But the question then becomes, are they pursuing God at the same pace as you? They might not be as spiritually mature. They might be more spiritually mature. But it doesn't help anyone for someone to be dragging someone along in their walk with Jesus Christ. And it doesn't help anyone else to be dragged along either. So pace is a very important thing. How fast are they going after God? Is that a good way to put it, Gavin?
So I'm going to just budge in. I'm sorry. I partially zoned out. So when you said my name, I felt like I was called in class. So I'm just going to take a stab at where you were. I think one of the most important things in regards to this isn't necessarily positioning, but it is pacing. Okay. And I think people should be equally yoked, and I think that they should be able to be at the same point so that they can walk in step together. Because when you walk in step together, you will then fall in step with the Spirit, right? And you'll be following him, because if he's really who's leading, then no matter where you go, if you're letting him lead, you're really just following him. You're walking together as you do that. But pace can be real tricky when, like you said, if there's a Christian with more spiritual maturity, this deeper quality of a relationship with Christ, it can get real tricky when just someone else hasn't had as much exposure and a quality and a depth of their relationship yet. And that's okay, because it's all, it's progression. It's not perfection. But when you're entering a relationship, it gets real difficult, because it becomes that point of, no one wants to pull someone and no one wants to be pulled, right? Yeah. It's the mutual, just, okay, missionary dating, flirting to convert. It's not exactly ideal. And so, like, for me personally, when I was entering relationship, okay, this was the thing that just stuck out in my heart, just over and over and over. It was pace. Look for someone who can keep the same pace as you. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, really, if you're chasing Christ with this undistracted devotion, and I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but seriously, if he places someone that's keeping that same pace, and you really do, you look over and you see them, then I don't think there's a question about it. I mean, at that point, you really know their heart and see how they're pursuing him. Because this pace is how the pursuit plays out in their life. Because they can pursue him by, reading, a verse a day, and, working on praying, which is great. And they can pursue him in different ways. But you just need to be on the same wavelength there. I think that is one of the most important foundational bedrocks of this whole list.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'd never heard anything like it, too. And I read it, and I was like, wow, that right there, bold that, italicized, underlined, circled, that's what I need. It's good.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the second section. This is stuff that isn't quite as important. Would you say that's correct, Gavin?
I say the degree of its importance is not as high as the first three.
Okay. All right. So this one is number 4. Are you theologically compatible? So this is assuming that 1, 2, and 3 are correct. They all build on each other. So if you don't have 1, 2, or 3, then don't even ask number 4. Just get out. Get out of the house.
Come on, get out of the kitchen. It's too hot in here.
But this is kind of where you talk about details. Where are you going to church? What values do you have in your faith? And I think this is something that we shouldn't get too caught up in, especially like, if you're Lutheran and your boyfriend is Presbyterian, I mean, like there's no point in breaking up, or even if like, I don't know, Methodist and Presbyterian. But if you're a Pentecostal and you're like speaking in tongues and raising people from the dead every Sunday, I'm not sure if marrying a Presbyterian who doesn't raise their hands in church is going to work very well. I'm just not sure about that. So it's like, those are just things that, can that work? Yes. Has it worked? I'm sure it's worked. But I do know that a husband and wife are called to belong to the same group of body of believers. They're called to go to the same church. So you would have to work that out if you got married. And it's just something to consider when it's with little things that you might disagree with that over time may become very hard to deal with.
Well, let me raise you one. I mean, what I think theologically compatible would also look like, okay, a devoted Roman Catholic and a Pentecostal. How does that work?
Yeah.
How do you work through some of the difficult issues? If your life is bound and sitting in Christ's hand, you are his and have a relationship with him, you're trying to you're pursuing him, you're keeping pace. I mean, how does it look to be able to talk about the difficult issues found in Scripture? How do you approach them? It's difficult. Are you compatible? Do you jive in the same wavelength when it comes to that? Because if you have that disconnect, that theological connection is one of the deepest that there is, the spiritual side of things. To have that understanding together, I think it's extremely beneficial. Let's just put that out there,
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, like if one of you is like, I don't know, one's an Arminianist and one's a Calvinist, it's like, I'm not sure that's always cause to just get up and leave. So yeah, that's just one that's kind of like, it's definitely something to consider that could cause problems if not dealt with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Number 5, are you socially compatible? I love this one because I think especially coming from this aspect of things, the Christian perspective, this is what gets lost, okay? Right here. This is what gets lost. All right, so let's take a good second to park the bus. Say, all right, this is an important stop to make here, okay? So you guys are great. I mean, you have these deep and challenging conversation for 5 minutes. But after that, you don't have anything else left to say. I think it says something. And it's okay. It's okay that your character lines up, but there also needs to be chemistry. You know, how do you guys work together? You know, literally that. How do you guys communicate? How are you socially compatible? Because if you're not, that's okay. Yeah. But I mean, it's important. Like if dating is really an evaluation process for marriage and you want to spend the rest of your life with who you marry, which is how that works, I really think it's important to say, hey, can I talk to him or her? Yeah. You know, can we get along? I don't know.
Yeah, this is something, again, like you can't take it too far. Like you're going to have arguments. You're going to have times when if you date for any long period of time, you're probably going to have times when you can't stand each other. And those are times that you got to learn to work through, just like any other friendship, really. But like, do you enjoy being with this person? Can you spend hours with this person and come home and be like, man, I want to do that again tomorrow? Is that something that's there? And so it's something that is necessary. Although, again, it's not like if you guys have an argument, then that means you're not socially compatible and need to break up. So there's extremes, again, that you can go to. But in general, it's a very good rule.
And like, you don't listen. Obviously, you can date people who are different than you. You know, if you're an introvert and they're an extrovert, that it does not mean that will not work.
That's how my parents are, actually.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to date a copy of yourself to make it work. That's not what we're saying. You got to date someone who's going to compliment you. And there's a difference. You know, dating someone who compliments you, you guys are compatible. You play off each other and you really you fit well and you'll be compatible in that way. Like, you'll see it play out, you know, but if you guys sit down and, you know, how do I gently say this? You know,
if you're on your phones more than you're talking to each other, then that's a problem.
If you sit down and you're like two rocks in a field, I mean, it's just, you know, it may be.
What does that mean?
Okay, I'll paint you a picture. Let's say we're sitting in a nice grassy field, okay? You imagine just whatever kind of field you want. I don't care. Maybe there's a stream. Maybe the clouds are in the sky. I don't know.
As opposed to the clouds being on the ground.
They could be anywhere. Anyway. Picture one rock on the ground. Okay, you got that, Josh?
I got it.
Okay, now picture another rock next to it on the ground.
Okay.
That's it.
That's perfect.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's it. One rock needs to get up and get skipped in the stream.
Exactly.
Just to get out of town because they're just going to keep sitting there.
And number 6.
Number 6. Come on, somebody.
Oh, Josh, hit us with it.
Are you philosophically compatible?
Boom.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Are you both heading in the same life direction? Does one want to become a missionary to China and one want to stay in the same hometown that they grew up in and become an elementary school teacher? That could be a problem. Once again, these are things like, you know, if you aren't both going into ministry, that doesn't mean you need to break up. Or if you both don't want to do the same exact thing, that doesn't mean you need to break up. But, you know, you can get a sense for, hey, is this going to be something that we're going to be able to do together? Because that's what you're called to do when you get married is to do a lot of things together and support each other in those things.
Mm. Right. And I love the aspect of getting to know someone's heart, how someone's heart is doing, where someone's heart is at, and where the desires and the hopes and the dreams of someone may lie, right? Because if you get to know someone in that way, you'll be able to see, are you philosophically compatible? Okay, do you want the same things? Are you heading in the same direction?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fair thing if we're going to approach dating like this, in this context, with an end in mind. I think it's important because it gives that direction. It doesn't have to be with a red dot or a red X on a map, but a general direction. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. And finally, we have number 7.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, it's ironic that we put it last. It wasn't necessarily intentional, but usually it's what everyone else puts first. So let's hit it off. Do you have physical attraction to each other?
Come on.
Wow. Yeah.
It's
Josh,
still
what do you got? It is. It is still
we would
a part.
it is not doing anyone good to say that physical attraction does not matter and that you don't have to think they're beautiful or hot or handsome.
No, that's terrible. I would never say that.
Why would you date someone?
Oh, boy.
And why would you marry someone? Why would you marry someone who you are not physically attracted to? That doesn't make any sense.
Darla, honey.
Darla, honey, I love you.
I got more teeth in my pocket than you do in your mouth. I'll tell you. See, physical attraction, it plays a part in dating. But I'm telling you, we always look for characteristics. But we never look for character. But once you see character, I think it gets coupled. You should couple it with, okay, am I attracted to them? You need to be attracted to them. If you're going to spend life with them, at least let them be a pretty rock. You know what I'm saying? No,
That's
but
right,
really,
at least a diamond.
You don't want to base your relationship purely on the physical, but the physical attraction is a beautiful thing to have within your relationship.
Yeah.
So that when there's already that borderline of, wow, they are beautiful. But the more and the more and the more you get to know them and see their heart, it's like, wow, they're even more beautiful, even more lovely in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just more and more facets to be able to appreciate someone. Like, it's not bad to say, oh, like, this person is made by God in the image of God. He's the artist here. It's okay to appreciate the beauty that God puts in people. That is perfectly okay. And you should be attracted to who you want to date. But it just can't be the first thing and the only thing that we decide.
Yeah, and it most likely will be the first thing you notice.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see someone before you figure out. So this is, in that way, it can actually be the first thing. Like if I'm not attracted to someone, I'm not even going to go into the other questions with them.
Right.
So in that way, it can be the first thing in the line of things happening, but I don't think it's the first thing in importance or in necessity.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Definitely the first thing that will occur because you see, unless you don't.
Yeah.
God bless you.
God bless you. We declare those scales fall off your eyes in Jesus' name.
But exactly, I don't think it should be the first thing that you make your decision whether to date them or not on purely. Which it's a very good thing to keep in mind. So let's run them through real fast. The first 3 non-negotiables. Are they a believer of Jesus Christ? Are they an active pursuer of Christ? Are they someone who will keep and is keeping the same pace as you in your walk with Christ? Are you both logically compatible? Are you both socially compatible? Are you philosophically compatible? And do you have physical attraction to one another? These 7 checks, these are amazing. I think they really just kind of shaped how I view this topic. It's something completely different. It's totally countercultural, but yet it's scriptural. I don't know. I think it's pretty ideal. Ideal.
Yeah, I would agree. And what this does, this takes out ring by spring culture. Because it is hard to know these things by spring.
And And that's I think the beauty of it is that if you approach it in this way, then as you choose the Lord, you may see another. And if you begin to walk with that person and you see these things in them, then there should be no pressure. There's no pressure placed on you by anyone else. It's purely between you, them, and the Lord. Wherever he's leading you, because if you are truly pursuing him, he will be the one who's guiding. He will make your path straight. That's the beauty of it, Yeah. That is who.
So tell us, Gavin, how does this help in guarding our hearts, this process?
I think especially the first three, they're all checks in a way. They're all things that you should look for in a relationship. And as we wrap this episode up here, I think you ought to remember Jesus first. It's all about him. Because I think if you keep him first in your heart and in your life, as you go into this process of dating, you'll be able to better guard your heart and the other person's heart. Say, okay, are we both in a place that we can put Christ first, that we can delight in him first before delighting in each other? I say he's the king of our life because he will guard your heart and he will keep you better than anyone could. He will love you better than anyone will ever. So if you can keep him first and then grow with another, chasing him together, I think when seeking for who, this process will be able to really help you guard your heart. I say, I'm not going to rush into anything with anyone who I don't think I'd be compatible with. I'm not just going to look for characteristics. I'm going to look for character. I'm going to look for chemistry. I'm going to walk through this process of evaluation of dating so that I could reach the end of marriage, because that is what I'm looking for. And if you guys are on that same page, then I think this will give you, it's obviously not the end all be all, but it'll place you in a spot that I think enables and it'll push you into that realm of, okay, let's guard our hearts together.
Yeah, it's good.
We invite you to join us again next week as this conversation develops into how do we go about dating? So now, we've talked about singleness. We've talked about connecting to the source. We've talked about how to guard your heart in regards to who you're going to date, to really walk through this process of, okay, I think this someone would be compatible with me. I could walk with them. Next week, we're going to begin to talk about how. How do we go about dating practically in a way that honors God and honors our significant other? We invite you to come back next week to find that out. Hey, thank you for taking time to listen to our podcast. We appreciate you for coming by. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss out on next week's conversation. Also, if you feel led, we encourage you to take a moment and share this on social media, along with even a star rating and review on wherever you may consume your podcast. If you'd like to offer your support while learning exclusive benefits and getting some SIG merch, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/heavensedge. Your support enables us to go above and beyond our capabilities, maximizing the impact that we're going to have together while improving your experience. Until next week, peace and love.
All right, I got to get in the podcast mindset. Here we go. Speed. I am speed. Faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am light. Hey, Lightning, you ready? Oh, yeah. Da-na-na-na-na-na. All right, I'm ready. Schmeager, the precious. They stores it from us. My precious. So juicy sweet. The Hobbit says, stupid fat Hobbit. Stupid fat lazy Hobbit. Master looks after us. I like the stupid fat Hobbit. Schmeager. That's my name.